Okay. All right. So I want to talk first just kind of about the general energies of the eclipse. Then I want to run through the signs and just kind of tell you like what houses this is playing out for the individual signs. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. If you'll have questions, I want to answer those. And then I want to pull cards. But this is a very powerful, activating energy. And I also want this to be more informal. So if y'all want to ask questions, you can, or, whether you pop them in the chat or whatever, it's fine with me. Um, eclipses, first off, they work in pairs. We already had the Libra full moon eclipse a couple of weeks ago. This is the second eclipse. The first eclipse usually kind of brings these tower moments. And I don't know if y'all had a tower moment or not. If you had any experiences where something collapsed, the energy with that was more of something coming to an ending that we knew was coming to an ending, and we were kind of okay with it. Like we've already done a lot of work around it. We're ready to release it. We're a little more mature about what we're trying to create. And so we're more in this energy of saying, it's okay to let all this go and move forward. And then this eclipse is the redirect that puts us more in alignment with our soul path. And that's part of what eclipses do anyway, because they work with the nodes of the moon. So we have the north node is in Aries, and that's the destiny we're moving towards. And the south node is in Libra. And so we're walking away from those energies, but we're not leaving behind Libra and moving into Aries. Like we're not going from codependency to independence. We're actually wanting to bring those into balance, and we're wanting to be interdependent because we don't want to go so far into Aries that we're like, I can do everything on my own, because we can't. And we're learning that community is so important, right? The people that we connect with are important. And we're having, Pluto going into Aquarius is really activating the Aquarius season, not Aquarius season, but age of Aquarius energy, moving forward into a new generation. So we're setting up this whole time, ever since Pluto went into Aquarius last fall, we're setting up the next 20 years of our life through, like, let's say August of this year. We're really creating the foundation for those next 20 years. So this realignment is kind of helping us with that. It's helping us let go of the past and really release it and move forward into the future. Feeling overwhelmed? Yes. Scared? Yes. Fears are coming up for people. So fears around, what if the power grid goes out? What if you get lost in your own darkness? I'm just reading through the comments. Yes, there are fears that are coming up at this time. Pluto brings up the depths of our subconscious, and so do so many other things right now. We're dealing with a lot of internal energies. We have Mercury in retrograde, which means we're working on internal things, our internal thoughts. So right now what we have is most of the planets are in Pisces. We have a stellium in Pisces, we have a stellium in Aries, and then we have a couple of planets in Taurus. That's where most of the planets are. Then we have Pluto in Aquarius, but for the most part, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus area of your chart, those three houses together are really lit up under this energy. And what we are doing, oh my goodness, I'm like, there's so much. So it's a new moon. Like, let me focus. I don't have a lot of notes, so let me try to stay like focused with where it is. It's a new moon, but it's a total solar eclipse. So it's like a death and rebirth moment, right? The sun goes dark, vital life force energy is removed, and then pops back on. So when you talk about like the power grids going off, this is kind of like a power grid going off moment and a coming back alive. In fact, I just watched that movie yesterday about the Beatles, where basically like everything shuts down on the whole globe for a minute and then comes right back on. And when it comes back on, The Beatles didn't exist. Several other things didn't exist, right? And so it was like kind of like changing timelines. And that's what really makes me think about the energy that we're in right now, like a changing timelines. And yes, job changes, moves, lots of people actually making transitions, jobs, moves, um, relationship changes. And this eclipse is happening at 19 degrees, which is the relationship degree. We're on the relationship axis because Libra and Aries deals with the self and the I am, and then who we are in relationships and how we relate to other people. So we're on this axis, we're looking at our relationships, and the new moon, typically we don't set intentions at a new moon that's an eclipse. And that's because the eclipses work with the nodes of the moon and our destiny path. And this is when chaotic, out of left field events happen in our lives that we weren't expecting. You can't predict. You can, I mean, even if you work with predictive astrology, you cannot predict these things because Uranus gets involved. And we get these out of left field events that just didn't know that was going to happen. Couldn't have predicted that if I tried, kind of thing. So it's really a moment to surrender and let go. But okay, so I'm reading the messages here. Debating about saying a new boyfriend may pop in, but who knows? Okay, Mercury retrograde. First off, will bring in relationships that typically don't last. However, it doesn't mean that they won't last. And often when we say you don't start new things under retrograde energy, also keep in mind that sometimes you're getting valuable lessons or you're revisiting something from the past. And when I say past, it could also include the concept of past lives, right? Because we want to really dive into that concept that we're galactic. We have multidimensional aspects, we have lives beyond this one. So it could be bringing up past lessons that may be valuable to catch. So this is where I would say really feel what your body's telling you. Don't just don't just not start something new because, oh, it's Mercury retrograde. But at the same time, this is not a time to start something new unless you're being directed towards it, because the universe is going to realign you towards things. And for there's like this darn Uranus comment here. I want to address that because Uranus, while it brings chaos out of left field into our lives, Uranus is the higher mind. Uranus brings innovation. Uranus brings, I'm going to throw a curveball your way, but it's because we need to innovate and we need to bring in something new that is more advanced. So Mercury is our like mental mind, but Uranus is that higher awareness, that higher mind, that higher concept of thinking. So it's throwing a curveball, but it's like, for the purpose of innovation, for the purpose of bringing about something that you wouldn't have otherwise even tried to do, or it wouldn't have been on your radar. And it really, the eclipses really do realign us or kind of course correct into our soul path. And don't even think about it as if, oh, I was not on my path before. Maybe you're a little off, or maybe it's just a change in tracks because this is the next phase for you, right? Like it doesn't have to be that what you were doing before was wrong. It can just be like, okay, we're shifting tracks now and we're going to go in this direction for a little while. That's a thought there. But this eclipse in general, okay, so Aries. Aries, we're having this spring equinox. We're having Aries season. This is the fresh start, the planting of the seeds. And this is usually when we want to jump and go. We're ready. We've been resting all winter. We're ready to get going on something. I want to start. I want to start now. This is what I want to do. But with our being an eclipse, with Mercury being retrograde, with Mars is about to conjunct Saturn, this is all going to be like a big slowdown. So you might feel this energy of like a back and forth energy of like, I want to get going, but wait, I can't. Or I want to do this, but I feel blocked. Or limitations, delays, restrictions coming in. But anytime we have Saturn involved, it's slowing us down so that we get our structures in order, so that we have that divine order in place. And the reason it's so important that we have this slowdown right now at this time when we might want to jump into action is because we're setting up the next 20 years of our lives. And this is something to take, I want to say seriously, but with the proper precaution. Like you're baking a pie that you're going to eat and that's going to unfold for the next 20 years of your life. Do you really want to just hastily, I'm so excited to bake the pie, let me throw everything in and throw it in the oven? No, you want to handpick the ingredients. You want to decide, what flavor do I really want? You want to, am I going to make the crust? Am I going to buy the crust? Am I going to get it from this other person? Like, you want to spend some time with this seed that you're planting right now. You want to, in fact, I have some cards out here. This one has this pregnant woman in it, and it says, love is already won. But she's pregnant. She's birthing something. You don't pop a baby out. You don't say, I'm going to have a baby, and then the next day, oh, look, I have a baby. Like, even if you're adopting, you don't go adopt it the next day. Like, you just don't do that. You take your time. You plan. It has to develop. It has to grow. It has to have time, right? And so what we're doing right now is we're creating something really important. It's a tangible year. It's an earth energy year. We're manifesting like crazy. There's very potent energy to manifest, but hold off on manifesting for a few more weeks, or even until the next new moon, because this is one of those times where you get redirected and you need more information because Mercury is retrograde. Oh, you keep getting pregnancy messages. Interesting. You saw a spirit baby in your tummy a few weeks ago. I will tell you, I had a dream I was pregnant, or I had a child with me, a baby with me every time. And I don't know if I was already pregnant when I had the dream or if I was about to get pregnant. But right after I had those dreams, I would have found out I was pregnant within a short amount of time after. So maybe that's something that's unfolding. I do know that the seeds that we're planting right now, first off, eclipses play out for 6 months. Just like all the energies, the moon cycles, these things play out. This eclipse has the potential to be playing out over the course of the next 4 years. And then I was listening to someone that said the next 100 days are going to be really powerful with this energy. There's a lot of unfolding here. Let me look at all my notes and just take a breather. So the sun and the moon are basically in this really dark space, right? Where there's a lot of unknowns. We're planting a seed, and they are conjunct under this eclipse. They're conjunct Chiron. And Chiron is that wounded healer. So there can be a lot of healing that takes place under this energy. And really, it's about healing that we need to do in order to move forward. Mercury is retrograde, and it's going to be conjuncting Aries. And Aries is this dwarf planet. It's on the outside of Pluto. So it's pretty deep within us. And it's our, it's called, I was reading a little bit about it, the roar of the storm. And it's this energy of making a stand for what one believes in, even if there's a fight, even if you have to fight for it. Like, I really believe in this. And so Mercury is conjunct Eris. And so this is some deep inner information we're getting right now. And it's kind of in a loose orb with Chiron and the sun and the moon, all this energy together here. We also have Venus approaching a conjunction to Neptune, and Venus is our planet of love, and Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So it's kind of like our passion, well, not our passion, but our desires, our love, our value, our worthiness, sensuality, pleasure, connecting in with those higher frequencies of divine unconditional love. It's like we're getting a lot of upgrades right now, right? We're going into this more advanced version of ourselves. A lot of healing can come in. We're we're dealing with the past though, because the ruler of this lunation is Mars, because Mars rules Aries. So the ruler of the lunation is sitting over in Pisces, which Pisces is the ending. Pisces is the spiritual realm, the subconscious realm. And Mars in Pisces is like driving a car underwater. You can't go anywhere really. Um, but so you need to tap into your internal body and listen to what your body's telling you and really listen to those subtle directions you're being guided in. But it's also a big slowdown where Saturn's like, because there's Mars and Saturn are going to conjunct like 2 days after the eclipse is the exact conjunction. So they're conjunct under this energy. So there's that, whoa, slow down. Do you have everything in order? What do you need to clear from your body? What do you need to clear from your Akashic records? What do you need to go in and clear out from your past so that you can move forward in a better structure, more prepared for the next cycle of your life, and ready to move into those higher frequencies? And when we take it to the galactic level, I'm looking at who's active in this space right now. When we take it to that galactic level, we're looking at core soul wounds that don't come from this lifetime, and not just our childhood, not just the ancestry DNA family line we were born into that we signed up to say, I'm going to clear the genetics in my family line here. No, this takes it a step deeper, more intense. And I know for me personally, in general, this is how it works. But for me personally, as I listen to different galactic things, or I watch videos or things like that, you get activated to those past energies, and you get activated to the core wounds as well that you received under that energy, right? You start connecting with your Pleiadian energy, or yes, this explains your fear of getting stuck in the darkness. Actually, I get chills when I read that. So absolutely. This is going back to such a deeply subconscious level of you that it's so deep that it may not make sense to your mind, because you're like, I don't understand why I feel so strongly about this fear. It feels irrational. Or why am I so upset about this thing right now? The Mars energy can also, well, Mars, and we have Aries involved here, can bring up this deep anger, this deep pain from something that we don't understand. And when we came to the earth, to this level of density and frequency, there's a lot that we started having. It's a different, like, we cannot deal with it from the higher mind perspective as easily, right? Because we don't have connection to our higher mind as easily. We're in the lower, denser vibrations. Of course, the more you ascend, the more you get into those higher frequencies and connect with your higher self, the more you can transcend this stuff. But it's going to be activating, potentially activating those deeper soul core wounds. Abandonment is going to be a strong one because it's Aries. And the first Aries is the fool that goes on the journey, that says, okay, I'm there, I'll sign up. They don't really ask for the details. You know, you give them something and they just jump and go, right? They leap into action. This is going to affect confidence wounds because we've been wounded in taking action before. We've been wounded in taking that leap of faith before. So confidence, imposter syndrome. This is going to highlight fears, doubts, anything around starting something new or stepping into, confidence and abandonment. Yeah, anything about stepping into maybe a community, stepping into a leadership role. anything about, can I trust? Okay, let's talk about feminine wounds. Let's talk about sisterhood. Let's talk about where you've been stabbed in the back. Can I even trust these people? We have soul wounds coming up from times that we did all sorts of things. There was a time when we um, did DNA experiments to try to upgrade ourselves, different things like that, that we didn't know what we were doing in that moment. In fact, there's that, with the Aquarius energy active, we have to consider there's a line in Jurassic Park that they talk about, okay, so we have the science and technology to do this, but no one ever questioned, should we do it? Is it ethically right to do this? And of course, this is talking about, Jurassic Park and bringing dinosaurs back to life, but that's kind of the energy of the Atlantean times and Lumerian times, and some of these societies that we were a part of where we got fairly advanced and we were experimenting and trying things, and we're kind of back at that space in our own society of, okay, well, now we have AI, we have the technology to do these things, but is it ethically good? What's the long-term effects of this? Is our society going to collapse as a result of this? There have been other planetary experiences that some of us may resonate with where we did have AI and AI got more intelligent and took over, and we had to basically abandon ship in order to, um, eh, you know, uh, I guess, move forward for ourselves. So there's a lot of deeper stuff depending on how connected you are to your multidimensional aspects that might be coming up for you. Things to go into your own personal Akashic records and do that deeper work around clearing very old records, very old things. I did put at the beginning of the chat a few links. Of course, they're all on my website, but I have Sweet Surrender, which is a meditation that I did for eclipse season energy. I used it under last eclipse season, and it's still great for this one. And it helps you just kind of relax and surrender into everything. There's also unification of the light body, which is another one. And this is really going to kind of help you bring your own masculine and feminine energies together and really kind of embody that soul frequency, that higher self frequency that's going to kind of give you a higher perspective in this moment. Of course, you can get those individually, but they're both in the Akashic Alignments membership if anyone feels called to join that space right now. And I just put up the alignment for the group alignment for them. Well, actually, it's going up tonight when it's finished doing its stuff. But and it's there's a huge activation for that I am frequency and bringing in that confidence to start again and to really there's this part about, I'm fully human and I'm fully divine. Um, really merging your energy together, surrendering and acknowledging like your freedom and your freedom to create the things that you're going to be moving into next, and your safety to do it, to really harness that vision and create it. Mars and Pisces energy right now may make us feel like our natural instincts are being suppressed, which can feel frustrating. We may have a lot of like false start type energies. Sort of like wanting to jump in, but things getting delayed. So hold off. If you want to take action, great, but maybe like write down what you want to do and give it some time, because there's still a lot of shifts and changes coming. And with Mercury in retrograde, Mercury is communicating internally with a lot of other planets right now. And Mercury is going to be communicating with Chiron as well. And in fact, that's the only triple transit we have for the Mercury retrograde. Usually we have what's called triple transits because Mercury in its pre-shadow period connects with planets, and then its retrograde period connects with them again, and then it moves forward and connects with them that third time. The only triple transit we have under this Mercury retrograde is when Mercury conjuncts Chiron. So it's already happened on the 20th of March. It happens again on the 15th of April, and then it doesn't happen again until the 6th of May. So there's a lot of and that's exchanging information, Mercury exchanging information with Chiron about our wounds, clarity, insight, wisdom, a lot of things oh, here's some information of what we need to heal. Oh, here's where we feel really angry and suppressed, and here's where we feel held back, and all this reworking, a lot of reworking, a lot of rethinking. So right now, Aries, I'd like to, maybe I should do this. Does anyone have any questions about what this looks like or feels like? This is definitely a time to surrender. Allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to go slowly, remind yourself, and write those, I am statements. I am ready for this. I am creating these things. I am open to this. Really remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. Oh yeah, I started this because of this. Don't let me get distracted. Don't let me get hung up in a past wound. When you recognize something is coming up, that's a wounded space, take the time and deal with it. Unpack it. So we have the stellium in Pisces, which is Mars, Saturn, and Neptune, all dissolving the past, all dissolving maybe let's look at Mars being our motivation and our action and our drive and our anger and frustration, and also Mars being our masculine energy, Mars being our instinctual energy. And so look at that as being reworked. What do we need to let go of that we used to move in this way that we want to transform into the new way? Because we're starting something new. My motivation needs to be new. What am I being motivated by? Am I doing the things that are truly honoring me and my body? Am I moving in the way that I feel called? Am I standing in my unique energy? Am I allowing myself to align with those who are in alignment with me? Am I trying to force something? Am I trying to push it for the wrong reasons? Am I trying to control something out of fear? Really look at all those different things. You're transforming into a new way of moving and connecting with your physical body more and instinctually moving towards passion, overflow, excitement. Okay, this is a great question. Is there anything we should do during the eclipse instead of manifesting? I love the idea of lighting a candle because it's dark in that moment. Lighting a candle and relighting your flame, relighting that inner spark and welcoming in that inner spark and sitting with that flame and saying, what are we creating? What are we unpacking? And what is it my passionate desire to create? So lighting a flame, maybe acknowledging what you're actually going to let go of. Oh, I notice I have a habit or a pattern of doing these things. Or in my relationships, and it can be any relationship across the board, right? In my relationships, I tend to do these things. I'm going to let go of that. I want to be more open. I want to connect in these ways instead. Or in the past, I have these fears that I'm noticing, or, and maybe even just connecting with your body and saying, what are you really afraid of? What is the core wound here? And Misha, you're attuned to the Akashic records as well, I think, if I remember correctly. So I think all of y'all have access, like full awareness and access to go into your records. Yes, you are great. Go into those records. What are the records here? What is this past wound that it's time for me to accept? Here's a big one. Let me accept that for whatever reason, my soul had this experience. Maybe it was an experience you wanted to have, needed to have. Maybe it was something that went sideways. Whatever it was, my soul had this experience. Let me release the emotional trauma associated with it. Let me take the wisdom gained from it. Um, Let me acknowledge how wise I am now, how much I've grown, how much I've healed. In fact, if you're healing soul core wounds, you've done a lot of healing. You're to the point where you've worked through a lot of the earth stuff. You've worked through the childhood stuff. You've worked through the ancestral patterns. You're done with all that. And now you're in those galactic realms and you're going, oh, that's the time where, my temple priestess sister did something that stabbed me in the back in such a way that it at this level of earthly emotional feelings, it's way more intense because that's deeper than like your best friend in the whole wide world. That's like a soul sister. You took a pledge together, you took an oath and a bond together, and there was a discord, right? Or in a relationship of some kind, there was a split or a break. There was a war. There was an overtaking of something. There was people being hunted, whatever it is. Like when you start expanding out into these soul core wounds, you're dealing with something so much bigger that your brain can't fully wrap itself around. Still working through childhood stuff, and there's no shame in that because um, ancestral patterns and childhood things are deep. And also, our patterns from our galactic lives get imprinted into this lifetime as well. It's just all wrapped up and tied together. But whatever it is, and this is still childhood, is still the past. We're unpacking these things from the past. We're looking at what do I need to let go of in my subconscious, in my psyche, in my spiritual realm? What do I need to release so that I can move forward? What do I need to let that old dream fully go so that I can create the new dream from a healed place, from a place that honors who I am right now, not who I was yesterday or last week or 2 months ago or 6 months ago or 5 years ago, who I am right now, what matters to me right now, and what I'm trying to birth into the world, right?